What is going on YouTube? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. I got a top 10 video today, and it's my top 10 cosmic Marvel keys to invest in. And ironically, they're all first appearances. So that's the theme of this top 10 list. Now, before we get into it, I want to make a couple things clear, guys. This top 10 list was chosen for a few different reasons. One, they are in a specific order. You know, they're not just random 10 books. They are in a top 10 order, counting down. Part of it has to do with value, but not all. So you're going to see some more valuable books, maybe up at the top of the list. But a lot of it has to do with my speculation on what these key books are going to do in the near future. And a lot of that obviously has to do with the MCU and the MCU expanding into more of a cosmic universe. Okay. So that's my main thing I want to let all you guys know before we get into this. The second thing that I want to let you all know before we get into this top 10 is this. There are two books that are not on this list, but I'm going to tell you right now, these books would trump any other books on this list, and that's Fantastic Four 48 and Fantastic Four 49. 48, first appearance of Silver Surfer. 49, first full appearance of Galactus. And guys, the reason why I didn't put them on this list, because I think right now, these two books are almost so dead obvious that they have been hot, and they keep getting hotter, and nothing's slowing them down. And I just think these books are going to be out of control for a long time. So I want you guys to know those are my golden cosmic books, hands down. So I let this list of these 10 be a little more open to interpretation on what we may think they're going to do in the future. So, guys, without further ado, let's get into the books. Starting off with number 10 on the list is Fantastic Four 65. This is the first cameo of the Kree, but first appearance of Ronan. Now, the reason why I put this book on this list is because not necessarily because of Ronan himself. We've already seen Ronan in the MCU. Hopefully, we'll see him again. You know, there's a lot that they can do with time traveling and the multiverse and whatnot. But this book is on this list because of my focus on the Kree. I think the Kree is just getting started in the MCU. Obviously, the Kree are a key peoples within the comic books and the Marvel universe in general, especially if you're looking at the nature of all things cosmic. So I really can't downplay uh, the role of the Kree that we are going to see in the MCU. You know, you have a lot of elements of where this can go. I mean, we were just recently introduced to Captain Marvel still. We have a lot of her story to tell and where that can lead. So I'm looking forward to the Kree having a bigger role in the MCU moving forward. And that's why this book is on the list. This book right now, fair market value for graded books and a 9.2. Fair market value, $500, 8.0, 170, 6.0, about $85. This is still a book where you can get in a nice mid-grade, obviously, for under $100. And shoot, you know, this is, and I say this about probably every book on this list. I'm going to say this: these are good books to invest in regardless of movie hype. I would say that for every single book on this list. The awesome Silver Age book, Fantastic Four Silver Age books are already sought after. So, you know, again, you know, I know it's cliche to say this, but you can't go wrong with this book. So I do feel the more that we see the Kree in the MCU, and if we get more Kree storylines, this book right here can definitely continue to heat up. All right, guys, number 9 on the list, Eternals. Number 2. I know we got a lot of Eternals hype right now. This is the first appearance of Celestials. We know that we've seen Celestials in the MCU. There's been a lot of talks, and we know that the Eternals film that was supposed to come out in about 2 months. Who knows what's going on with that because of COVID? But we know that we're really going to get the backstory to the Celestials. Um, this is a book that I think can cool off a little bit. So, again, I always tell you guys to don't just watch these videos and just go jump on them. Go jump on these books and overpay and whatnot. You got to really do your homework. It's got to be right for you. And you got to really look at what's going on with the market right now. And I think this book has potential to cool off, but you got to keep in mind though, when the Eternals film finally comes out, and if they do the Celestials in such a way that has people coming out of the movie theater or however we're going to be watching it, I'm like, man, because we saw something so amazingly set up for the Celestials in the future. Shoot, that could really spike this book even more. So again, it's always a gamble with speculating on these books. There's always a risk involved. Right now, fair market value in the 9.6 is 200. 8.0 is 60. Not bad. An 8.0 for 60 bucks, 6.0, $34, $35. This isn't a book that's going to break your bank. If you could find a 6.0 and about $35, that's a fine grade book. So even that grade has the potential to continue to increase if these books get hot. All right, guys, moving on. Number 8. Thor 225, first appearance of Firelord. He is a herald of Galactus. First off, I think Firelord, this book I think has gone overlooked for a while. It's been getting more talk, over the last couple of years. But here's the thing. I believe that's why I said in the beginning of this video that just the first appearances of Galactus and Silver Surfer, it's like I didn't even put them on the list because they shatter. They shatter everything on this list. If we see the Galactus in the MCU, which I think is going to be inevitable soon, this is a book to look out for because we always think of Silver Surfer, right, as the Herald of Galactus, but Firelord, in my opinion, is someone that can be done extremely well, introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a Herald of Galactus. Now, they can even introduce Galactus and do Firelord as his herald before they even introduce Silver Surfer. There's so many different ways. I think this character has extreme potential to be where if he's done right in the MCU, it can really bring a lot of attention back into the books. I have this book. It's a really beat up copy. It's probably like a 3.0 maybe, but hey, I'm happy to have it. Right now, fair market value, graded books in the 9.6 is $300. 8.0, $80, 6.0, $42. And again, guys, these are graded fair market values, not even raw. So if you could find a good mid grade of this book for, I would say, under $30 at this point, um, you know, again, regardless of movie hype, this is a good book to have. A great character that I think is only going to get more popular over time. But man, I would love to see Firelord as the Herald of Galactus in the MCU. Next up, guys, number 7. I've talked about it many times before over the last few months. I recently got my hands on one myself. This is Strange Tales 158, first appearance of the Living Tribunal, first full appearance. Uh, the cameo is in 157, which is another really cheap, affordable book to go after. But this book right here, I mean, this is one character that I feel has, again, just like Galactus, the Living Tribunal has to show up in the MCU at some point. And I think once that happens, this is a Silver Age book that's been overlooked for a long time, and it's been heating up, I would say, over the last year. This book in a grade in 9.2, $825, 600 in an 8.0, 140 in a 6.0. And again, these are graded. So this is a book that, again, regardless of movie hype, Strange Tales itself is a run. I think has a lot of underrated key first appearances that you can really get great deals on right now before they get too hot. So again, if this is something that you feel is worth the time and money, this is definitely a little higher price than some of the books I just showed before this, but you got to have patience when you're looking at books on the market. And, if you set a budget for yourself, like what I did for this book, and I talked about it in my unboxing video when I uh, received this book in the mail, I set a certain amount of money aside and I said, this is how much I'm spending. I'm not spending any more, but also I'm going to make sure that it's in a decent grade that I'm looking for. I'm not going to go lower in a grade than I want as well. So I set a standard for myself, and I was patient and I waited and I jumped on one that fit within my budget that I thought was in the grade range that I wanted as well. So that's kind of how I approach any key book that I'm really looking for. So. Again, I look forward to this one gaining more ground and more momentum in the near future. Moving on, number 6, Thor 134, first appearance of the High Evolutionary. I mean, what can I say about the High Evolutionary? This is a character that I just think, oh, I mean, it's the I'm seeing it in my head right now what this character can do in the MCU. This is a character as a villain that, and you guys may disagree with me, but this is a character that I feel can have their own standalone movie as a villain. Like that's how I feel about what they could do with this character. Now we also know that this character is heavily tied into another character that was already um, hinted at and basically made a cameo appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You guys all know who I'm talking about. So once that character is introduced, I just look, when it comes to Adam Warlock, they the MCU got away with doing Infinity War and the Infinity Saga type stuff without introducing Adam Warlock and making him be a key player in that, and they made that work. Okay, but when you talk about Adam Warlock's creation, you can't have that without the High Evolutionary. So I feel like if they're going to introduce Adam Warlock, they have to introduce High Evolutionary at some point. Um, Maybe in an Adam Warlock standalone film. I don't know, but the origin of the High Evolutionary for himself is one that like I said, that I think, I mean, they can almost do a standalone film with that, and I think it would work. So much potential for this. You can even make one of not the big climax, not the 10-year, like Infinity War saga, uh, 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 crisis type of film, but the Evolutionary War could be like a Civil War film, which is like a few year, 5-year build up into doing something with bringing the characters together. So much to do here with this character. Fair market value in a 9.2, 850, 8.0, 450, 6.0, 160. And again, that's for graded books, guys. You can really find this book raw in a decent grade. I mean, I haven't looked at the raw numbers recently, but I think you could definitely find a high mid grade for under that $100. You could probably still find a 6.0, maybe if you do your due diligence around the $100 mark, especially one that might benefit from a press. So this is another book that, again, I just think it's inevitable we're going to see this character in the MCU, and this book can absolutely take off. All right, guys, number 5, Avengers Annual, number 10, first appearance of Rogue. You guys might be saying, like, why is Rogue on the list of top cosmic books? Rogue's a mutant. Well, guys, how does she get a lot of her power that we love and know her for, which is, her basically her super strength and ability to fly? Those are all cosmic powers that she took from Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers is already in the MCU. We know that the X-Men are coming. This is the perfect mashup between X-Men, mutant, and cosmic. Rogue has to be done right. I thought Rogue was almost a waste of space, and nothing to what's her name? I can't think of her. Anna Paquin, right? And how she was portrayed. in the original Fox X-Men films. I appreciate her as an actress. I just think her character wasn't written well. Um, Kevin Feige and team, I have faith in them. I think they're going to do Rogue justice. And I think they're going to have to bring Rogue in and really tie in the storyline of how she gets her cosmic powers, take it from Carol Danvers. If that's done in the MCU, it's going to be an amazing job. They did an amazing job of it in the X-Men animated series in 92. So look for that to happen once X-Men are introduced. I got my fingers crossed for it. And look, this book has been flying under the radar for a long time, and I think, and a lot of people talk about this primarily, is because it's a very interesting first appearance. It's in an annual, and you have a cover that doesn't have Rogue on it, but it is her first full appearance, and it goes over her origin story of how she gets those powers from her battle with Carol Danvers. So the story is amazing to the character, but yet we hold so much value in seeing that awesome cover, and this cover has just never been a really sought after one. But guys, if Rogue's story is done right in the MCU, I don't think this book is going to get overlooked anymore. Look at this fair market value. I think it has the potential to exponentially increase. In a 9.6 right now, you're looking at 220. 8.0, you're looking at 85, and a 6.0 at 40. I mean, that's basically the cost of grading. That's basically the cost of sending it into CGC. So that may be a little skewed. We know that, and again, you take these fair market values with a grain of salt because um, these books, when it comes to the speculative value within all of them that I'm presenting, they're changing by the week, right? And when you look at fair market value, there's still averages taken into consideration. So you can have one outlier that's really kind of skewing a fair market value of a book, or you might just have one sale that doesn't really speak to the volume of what's going on. Because I think in a 6.0 raw, you're probably not going to find that book for much lower than $40, even in a 6.0 at this point. So again, do your homework, do your due diligence. But I think this book is going to continue to climb, especially when we see Rogue in the MCU. Moving on. Number four, Nova number one, first appearance in Origin of Nova. Richard Rider. I talk about this book a lot. I've talked about it a lot over the last few months. It's been increasing as well. Um, Nova, again, he's another one he's going to be showing up soon, in my humble opinion, in the MCU. We have the Nova Corps. We know that his people exist. Um, I really believe we are going to see Nova in the next 5 years. Um, this book has been getting extremely hot. We look at these fair market values. I guarantee you, in a 6.0 where it says 65 right here, it's going to be really hard to find any graded book, even in a lower grade right now, for under $100. I'm going to tell you that right now. Um, 8.0 at 110. I don't see that happening. 9.6 325. So again, when you look at fair market value, you have to understand averages, and these averages are a little skewed right now because over the last 3 to 6 months, especially with since COVID, um, this book has already increased. So do your homework, look at eBay sold, and understand that these fair market values right now are going to be higher than what you're seeing. What I would do is I would just really look at those eBay solds probably over the last 2 to 3 months and kind of work your own average out. Moving on though to number three, and here he is. This is Thor 165, first full appearance of him, Adam Warlock, but he's not Adam Warlock yet. Guys, again, this book has been super hot, but here's the thing, and I talked about this, I think, in a video or a live stream not too long ago. I think it was when I was showing on my CGC books that I talked about this, and this book and anything surrounding Adam Warlock is in a really interesting state right now, okay? Because Adam Warlock's a character that has a lot of key, like, first appearances, right? We have a cameo in a cocoon, and we have a first appearance of cameo. excuse me, first appearance of the Cocoon in Fantastic Four 67, which is, I mean, it's technically still a cameo, but it's a full Cocoon appearance, but you don't really see him. He just talks. And then here he is. Here's his character revealed, right? First appearance of him. Then we have the first appearance of him as Adam Warlock. So you got a lot of books surrounding this character, and they have all have increased in value. They've had a lot of spec hype around them since 2000 and what was it, 17, when we got Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? When the him character in the Cocoon was introduced at the end of that film. So we've been sitting on this for over 3 years now, and because of the James Gunn controversy, the hold that's been put on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think these books and this character is kind of stagnated, and it's a really interesting point because I normally would tell you like, look, we got the teaser, we know that he's coming in the MCU. I would wait to buy. But right now, because everything's stagnant, I think people have kind of forgot a little bit and have kind of taken their money out of these books and have been on the next hype train, which has been a lot of other cosmic stuff, a lot of Fantastic Four, X-Men stuff, and then obviously a lot of modern stuff that's going on in the comic books right now that has nothing to even do with the movies. So this is an interesting time where I do feel like, look, if you set your budget appropriately and you find a good deal right now, I think it's a decent time to buy. I'm not going to say it's the best time to buy. The best time to buy would have been, 4 years ago, before we even saw a teaser of him at the end of a MCU film. But regardless, we're looking at 9.6 fair market value of 2150, so it's getting up there. 8.0, $550. 6.0, 250. So again, guys, this is a really interesting one. Play your cards right. Be smart when looking at this book. But I'm going to tell you, if we get any more hints or official announcements that we are going to see more of this character in the MCU finally, after this wait, this is going to be one that I believe really skyrockets. Number 2 on the list, Avengers 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. Now, Kang does appear before this book. This came out in 1964. We did see Kang the first time in 1963 in Fantastic Four number 19 as Pharaoh Ramatut. We didn't know that it was Kang at that point. Okay. I'm not going to get into all that and give anything away, but that's still a key book. Market value is a little less than Avengers 8. Avengers 8 is seen to be that money book where we know of Kang, and so either of these two books I think will be impacted off of seeing this character in the film. Now, especially if they bring him into the MCU and bring him in as the Pharaoh Ramatut, then obviously that FF19 has great potential. But ultimately, this is the book for Kang. Now, Kang is I mean, there's already been talk when we knew that the Fox acquisition uh, uh, went through, and we knew that Fantastic Four was coming home under the Marvel Studios umbrella. You look at all these antagonists that you could bring forth. Galactus, Doom, and then Kang is another one. And I think Kang is extremely feasible, especially knowing that we have time travel, um, and the multiverse, and both of these two things can play into the character of Kang and how we could fit in. So again, this is another character that I think is inevitable, and Kang is another villain that can be either like a Loki, where you build up to that build up to the first Avengers movie was Loki, but then you had the bigger Thanos Infinity Saga. So this is a villain that I think you can have a few movies build up to some kind of battle with Kang, but then ultimately there's an even bigger threat, which I think goes to more of those cosmic entities. Um, even say a Galactus, for example. But now a 9.2 in this book is looking at $3,200, 8.0, 1,250, and a 6.0 at 550. So, like I said, price tags are getting up there. This is number 2 on the list. So again, remember what I said at the beginning of the video. We're looking at value, but we're also looking at potential, especially for these characters to show up in the MCU. All right, guys, drum roll. Are you ready for my number 1 pick? And that is Fantastic Four Annual number 6. First appearance of Annihilus. It's also the first appearance of Franklin Richards. I put this at number 1 specifically because of the first appearance of Annihilus. Now, there's already been talk, again, just like I said with King. You get these properties coming over from Fox. What's going to be that next big climactic battle? I just talked about Kane being someone that could be, like that 4 to 5 year, antagonist. You look at somebody like High Evolutionary that can be maybe a short term antagonist, and then you look at what that next saga can build up to. You look at Galactus as being heavily involved in that, but you can also look at Annihilus as being heavily involved in that as well. And I think that's why this book is number 1 on my list. I think that this has the potential to be the next big thing, and if it is, I know, and I know it's hard to trump the Infinity Saga and how the MCU brought in Thanos, but you got to keep in mind, going cosmic already is bringing it to that next stage. This is it's and even Kevin Feige, I believe, has talked about how they're going to continue to look at the MCU and the whole universe and continue to expand it and make it bigger. Um, this book right now, guys, I mean, it's already one of the most expensive books on the market. I do believe if you look at the number 2 book, that's probably going to have a little bit of a higher price tag right now. But I just believe that this book has the potential to soar because of what the MCU can do with Annihilus. There's so much there. There's so much there, and it intertwines every other character that I really brought up in this top 10 list, from Nova to Warlock to Kang to even Quasar, who I didn't bring up in this list. But if you look at all the characters and how they can be brought into this huge buildup uh, under an antagonist like Annihilus, I mean, I'd be excited for it. You can even bring in, obviously, the X-Men. Um, this is my number 1 book on the list, guys. So there it is. Like I said, remember, nothing tops Fantastic Four 48 and 49 right now. That's why I didn't even put them on this list. But right now, Fantastic Four Annual 6, first appearance of Annihilus. I don't own the book, and I probably won't own the book, at least for a very long time. And if something happens with the annihilation threat, I might not ever own this book. But it's my number 1 on the list, guys. And let me know what you all think. Let me know what you think. If you agreed with the books on this list, if you disagreed with them, let me know if you have any of these books on this list. If you guys are looking to purchase any books on this list, and let me know if there were any books that I left off of this list that you guys would have included. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Once the channel reaches 3,000 subscribers, guys, I have a lot of exciting announcements. So let's keep pushing. Tell your friends, share the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Drop some thoughts in the comments. Until next time.